Jurors return Monday for closing arguments. Veronica Waters for CBS News, Atlanta.
From New York, WCBS's Steve Burns says 2 men have now been cleared in the murder of Malcolm X nearly 6 decades ago.
83-year-old Muhammad Aziz took a deep breath at the defense table as he finally heard the words conviction vacated.
The joint motion is hereby granted.
56 years after the assassination of Malcolm X, Aziz and the late Khalil Islam are now exonerated as prosecutors cite a biased trial and new evidence.
I am happy, but there's still sadness.
Islam died in 2009. His son, Shaheed Johnson, isn't ruling out civil action.
It doesn't replace everything that we lost.
Steve Burns for CBS News, New York.
To Oklahoma.
Thank you, Governor Stitt, for doing the right thing.
Where Julius Jones will now spend the rest of his life in prison. He was to be executed today for a murder in 1999 that he says he was never a part of. The governor commuted that execution this afternoon. There is a possibility that the U.S. could boycott the upcoming Olympics.
Asked if the U.S. would enact a diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Winter Games, the president said only this.
Something we're considering.
Press Secretary Jen Psaki wasn't prepared to explain what a diplomatic boycott would look like.
I just don't have an update on where what our presence will be.
But she indicated China's human rights abuses would be one reason the U.S. wouldn't send a formal delegation. First Lady Jill Biden attended the Tokyo Summer Games earlier this year. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, the White House.
Our Steve Futterman in California says the orange and black western monarch butterfly is making a comeback.
Its population here in California is growing after hitting a record low. This year's official count is underway. It's already showing positive signs. Last year, the winter count was less than 2,000, but already this year, it's reached more than 50,000. The western monarch butterfly population has declined by 99% since the 1980s.
The Dow lost 60. This is CBS News.
It's Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year with Black Friday deals on Windows 11 PCs. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business.
Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year has arrived. Step up your vision with top tech up to 50% off during their Black Friday event. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Plus, get incredible savings on Windows 11 PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping. There's also special financing with Dell Business Credit. Get started by contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Velvety paper feel, exquisite colors, the stunning scale of a massive storefront banner. At Staples, we sweat the details and quality of every print project. It's what we call our Print Big Promise. We're not only committed to getting your print job right, we're committed to treating your small business like a big deal, to bringing your ideas to life and giving you guidance from start to finish. Stop by Staples today and try our Print Big Promise. You'll be glad you did. Staples, where small business prints big.
From the Herteen and Stocker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Herteen and Stocker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
Now, Iowa City's News First.
I'm Tommy Lang with KCJJ News. New data in the Iowa City Community School District's latest annual progress report shows that black students continue to be disproportionately disciplined compared with the total student population. The Press Citizen reports that 75% of school suspensions were of black students, although they make up less than 22% of the district enrollment. However, the report points out that some data points may be difficult to compare to the previous school year's report due to the coronavirus pandemic keeping students at home for at least part of the last year and the year before. The report also indicates there were 37% of students eligible for the free or reduced price lunch service in the district, and 82% of those suspended were part of that group. The newspaper says the Iowa City Community School District has been working on their approach to discipline since they released a report this summer. Steps include focusing on restorative justice practices instead of traditional discipline, training teachers to be culturally responsible, using standardized discipline practices across the district, and supporting students' social, emotional, and behavioral health. Ranshaw Way in North Liberty, recently closed between Gulfview and Hawkeye Drives to allow the construction of an underpass, has reopened 2 lanes to through traffic. Work will continue into summer 2022 to complete the underpass, trail, and sidewalks, as well as stormwater management infrastructure. Temporary traffic controls at the intersection of Jones Boulevard and Forever Green Road will remain in place. While work continues, traffic will occasionally be shifted from the inside or outside lanes to provide safer working conditions for construction crews. For more information, you can go to northlibertyiowa.org/projects. Data from the Iowa Board of Education indicates fewer students are enrolled in the state's 15 community colleges this fall, continuing a drop in enrollments that's been going on since 2019. The Cedar Rapids Gazette reports that although enrollment dropped 1.5% in the last year and 7.5% since 2019, Iowa still beats the national average, which was 5.6% in the last year and 14% since 2019. Analysts say COVID-19 muted any growth that normally happens when the economy makes a downturn. While the state had an overall drop in enrollment, Kirkwood Community College showed a 2.7% increase in enrollment. Their student population, however, is still 11% lower than 2018 levels. In sports, the 17th ranked Iowa football team goes for its 9th win Saturday as they host their final home game at Kinnick Stadium this year, taking on Illinois at 1 o'clock. Illinois football coach Brett Bielema will not be making the trip to Iowa City this week after testing positive for COVID-19. Head coach Kirk Ferentz was asked if there's any contingency plan in his program if he, for some reason, would have to miss a game, and he gave a lighthearted answer.
Oh, I'm irreplaceable. I mean, there's no, no. The fact is, head coaches, you guys haven't figured this out yet, and don't tell anybody. We don't do a hell of a lot on game day, we always think everybody has a plan, especially last year. You had to really check your blueprint a little bit because it was just so prominent. And there's always, plan A, plan B. But in all seriousness, I think things would run really pretty smoothly if I wasn't there. It's not like everybody's got an assignment, everybody's got their deal, and everybody works together.
FS1 will broadcast Saturday's contest at 1 o'clock. The Hawkeyes will wrap up the season at Nebraska on Black Friday. That game will be televised on the Big Ten Network starting at 12:30. With KCJJ News, I'm Tommy Lang.
KCJJ Weather, brought to you by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so beautiful.
KCJJ Weather, brought to you by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so beautiful.
With a look at your forecast, I'm meteorologist Ashley O'Connor. Partly cloudy skies tonight, and it will be cold with a low temp dropping to the low 20s. A mix of sun and clouds tomorrow with a light southerly breeze, warmer with a high near 43 degrees. Partly cloudy on Saturday, nice with high temps in the low 50s. Sunshine on Sunday, breezy with a high of 48. Sunny skies continue Monday, but cooler with high temps in the low 30s. That's weather on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently, it's 29.
You're listening to Molly Suter on the mighty 1630 KCJJ.
Yes, hello. Hi, it's me, but it's also Cindy.
Hello.
Hello. How are you today? This week?
Awesome.
Last 2 weeks. I don't even remember last time you were here.
2 weeks ago, I think.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
Not feeling great last week, so.
Right. Yeah, so might as well just stay away if you're not feeling hot.
Yeah. But I'm fully vaccinated now. I've got all 3 shots.
Yeah, I got my booster on Sunday? Yeah, it was Sunday. And so I'm fully boosted as well.
I also got flu, which I haven't gotten in decades. I usually don't get the flu shot.
Good on you. Good on you.
And then I looked it up, and unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm old enough now for the shingles shot.
Oh,
so
fun.
You do the math. I'm 50.
Okay. Thank you.
And I had chicken pox, so.
Thank you for sparing me from doing math, Cindy. I don't want to do math.
So I did, they're like, I've never had somebody be like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do all 3? I had like 2 or 3 different people tell me that.
Oh, really?
Like, the pharmacy techs and the whatever, whoever's giving the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, do they work against each other? And they're like, oh no, you're just putting 3 viruses into your body.
Or putting 3 needles
and
into your arm.
there could be side effects. I'm like, well, I know I'm going to be tired from 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, or, not feeling great from 2 of them. So if they don't fight against each other, I'd rather just get them all done at once so that I'm really sore and tired for one recovery period instead of 2 or 3.
Exactly.
So,
No,
so I was down the next day. I slept pretty much the next day.
No, I think that's smart, honestly.
Yeah.
If you schedule it for a day where, like, you're kind of just off anyway, like, yeah, just do it.
I wasn't. I had to call in sick, but still.
Oh, well, still.
I get paid for sick leave, so.
Yeah. So, I actually, my first and second COVID shots, I really only had arm pain and then, slight back pain like 14 hours after injection, and then for the booster I just had slight arm pain for maybe 2 days, and that was it. So I've been really lucky.
I think it was
effects.
because I had 3 shots. My arm was like, you could see the bump.
Did you get it in all in one arm?
Like, you don't want to spread it. I'm like, I sleep on my side. I have to have a side that is available. I understand their concern, but I'm like, I'd rather just group all of my pain together and just get it over with.
Mm-hmm. So did you have 3 separate pharmacists do it at the same time?
No, well, I won't name where I went.
Oh, okay.
You can go to my Facebook, but I would not recommend going there because they didn't really. I was a little frustrated.
Tell me off air.
Well, I was a little frustrated because I felt like since I signed up online that I assumed that they were using the same system that I used to sign up for the appointment,
right,
to check me in, and it apparently doesn't pull up everything that you signed up for. So they basically checked me in for the booster.
Yeah.
Fine. I was there for the booster. I just assumed that when they said, "Are you here for the booster?" they knew what else I was signing up for.
Oh.
So I didn't explicitly say, yeah, and I got 2 other things.
Right, because you assumed.
I thought it would be on the form. Well, I get in and they give me the booster. I'm like, yeah, I signed up for the flu shot and for the shingles vaccine. And she's like, oh, well, did you tell them that when you checked in? And I'm like,
no, I assumed.
She didn't ask. Like, you'd think if it was that important that they would say, did you sign up for anything else? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I don't know. So I just assumed that the young lady that was checking in, eventually another person came in and kind of took over and it went a little bit faster. But I hit somebody who probably was just freshly trained, is my guess, as part of the problem, technology part of the problem. And then I did it right after work, which is there was a lot of people coming in.
Yeah.
And they also didn't have it set up so that pharmacy pickup was separate. Everyone was in the same line. And there was a couple of people that just kind of walked to the front line. I need to pick up medication. I'm like, how do you know that we don't have to pick up medication?
Yeah,
we're all in line here. So it was just this whole frustration of, and then I had to sit there again, had to sit through even more people this time. An hour and a half later, I was finally out of there.
Really?
So by the time I got in, the shingles shot has to be administered by a pharmacy person.
Right.
Because I don't know why. But so I had to wait for them too, which is probably part of
Maybe it's
the issue.
More
but
heavy duty, I guess.
yeah,
I don't know.
and that's fine. But the gal that gave me the first shot, she's like, "Well, I got to check to see if you can do all of it." I'm like, "They let me sign up for all of it. They didn't, They actually on the website they encouraged you to get your flu shot at the same time."
Right.
And I just thought I'll just add on shingles while I'm here. And then the pharmacy person that was giving me the second round of shots, she's like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "Yes, I am sure. I understand.
I am a grown
what
woman.
You're saying.
I understand that the consequences of my own actions.
But if injecting me all at once isn't going to affect the individual shots, I'd rather just get it all over with."
Yeah.
And also, I'm not coming back. Even if it had went smoothly, I mean, I was I don't know what got into me, but I made the appointment over the weekend and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it all. You know how it is when you put off doing something and then you just get everything done at once.
You just want to do it. You just want it done. Yeah, I get it. Well, I got my booster at the Hy-Vee drug and it was painless. I just waited in line, chatted with a really friendly lady, right next to me, also waiting in line. And then I got the shot. It took 5 seconds. And then I just waited for 15 minutes and then left.
Oh, they didn't even have us wait, which I find a little sus.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
They were just bye.
Well, because when I got my first 2 shots, they made us wait. But it was a clinic that they had set up at work. And they didn't. And that was another thing. The place I went, the waiting room was not ideal.
Hy-Vee drug had a waiting period. The lady who did my shot, she kept your CDC Vax card and put a timer with it, and then when it,
that was another thing too. I noticed, and I would never take advantage of this, but they filled out my card when I checked in.
And not after.
And I kept thinking, as far as anyone else knows, I could have walked off and not gotten the shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to do that.
I know, but still.
But
oh, wow.
I'm guessing that's not going to. I don't know. I thought about that afterwards. I'm like,
good thing she's not telling you where.
Yeah, and I don't know if every employee at this place does that, or if it was just sort of a one-off thing.
You said it was busy, maybe.
It was pretty busy, and I
I
definitely got the sense that the gal that was helping me initially was fairly new, because she was like very careful about stuff, but then it didn't help. Like I would not want to work that department because I sat there for so long. I got to witness quite a few people, like with insurance that didn't cover all of the medication, which is always like heartbreaking.
Yeah,
it's just like, anyway, I would hate to work that.
Yes.
That kind of element. So people were not in great moods.
Yeah. I'm glad that you got all of your vaccines.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm not getting any other vaccines ever again. No, actually, I got to get another shingle shot. That hurts.
Does it?
I don't normally complain about shots, but man, that one hurt.
Yeah, none of mine have really hurt. The only one that hurt a little bit that I remember was my meningitis one. And that was like 10 plus years ago.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever got one of those.
Oh, well, I got tetanus and meningitis at the same time in both arms.
Okay.
I'm just like, yeah, whatever, just do it now.
But I forget, I got to go in a month or two to get the second shingles thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so that one is also a staggered one. I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that either until somebody had told me that, and then the pharmacist confirmed.
I got my chickenpox vaccine when I was a kid. I'm sure I did. I don't remember it, but I'm sure
so,
I did.
Yeah, they didn't have a vaccine when I was a kid. The standard operation procedure back in my day. Mm-hmm. Oh, the neighbor kid has chickenpox. Go down and play with them. So you get it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fine until I realized 50 years later that I'm more likely to get shingles.
Yeah.
And shingles really sucks.
Well, at the time, they probably thought like, "Oh, we want them to get it now, so it's less inconvenient."
Because the virus itself is not that. I mean, people normally don't die from chickenpox unless you get it when you're older. So getting it as a kid is ideal. But like, they didn't know that 40 years later, these kids are going to end up being susceptible to shingles, which again is not a deadly disease, but it really sucks.
I was under the impression, and I don't know anything about vaccines. I don't know the science. I was under the impression that if you get chickenpox, you're less likely to get shingles.
No, I
later.
think it's one of the things. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I don't know.
I remember having this discussion with my old boss who got shingles, and that was what the discussion was with. I'm going to look up chickenpox and shingles.
Our little fan in the chat room says his dad got a rabies shot in the 70s in his stomach, and he said it hurt.
Oh, did he get? I'm assuming he got bit or something.
I'm guessing, because that seems like an odd place to put a vaccine.
Yes, because I'd heard that if you get bit by like a dog or somebody or an animal that may or may not have rabies, and you can't bring the animal in, that they'll give you, I think it's like 7 shots in the stomach.
Oh.
There's multiple shots.
That sounds so fun.
Okay, so people get shingles when the Varicella zoster virus.
I'm guessing that's chickenpox.
It sounds like an evil witch in which causes chickenpox reactivates in their bodies after they've already had the chickenpox. So basically, it sounds to me, but you cannot get shingles from someone who has shingles, so it is not contagious. Shingles is not contagious.
So chickenpox is. Okay.
But it sounds like you have to have had chickenpox in order to get shingles.
Lovely. I had chickenpox kind of later in my childhood. I was 13, and most people got chickenpox in like elementary school and stuff, but
yeah, you can't get shingles if you have never had chickenpox.
What? Oh man.
Yeah, so that's why so many people my age are now, susceptible to shingles.
Oh no. Yeah, I can't. Oh, that's too bad.
So I'm waiting to see what, if you got COVID and survived, what are you going to get 20 years from now?
40, 50 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll never know if I had COVID or not, just because I didn't get tested regularly because I don't really have a job where I need to get tested regularly. And so if I did have it, it was completely asymptomatic because I was not sick last year or this year.
Well, I mean, I'm somewhat convinced that I had it before it was sort of officially a thing in Iowa.
In like February?
Yeah, February, March, both.
Yeah.
Actually, January and March, I got really super sick. And March was worse than anything I've ever had.
That's very possible.
Yeah. And then, it was the next month or so that...
It was mid-March when, for me, the indicator of things going really badly was when our governor, shut the restaurants down.
That was pretty
indicative, at least
extreme,
to me, that it was
well, the fact that she did anything at that time.
The fact that she did anything at all, really.
Yay for her!
Oh my god, you're doing something. Things must be bad. But yeah, that was mid-March, March 17th, I want to say.
I still suspect that somebody from the restaurant association, I'm sure they have an association, pissed her off, and that's why she did it. And not because it was actually helpful, but...
Maybe.
That's just, allegedly my opinion, so I don't get sued for that opinion. But
who would sue you?
I don't know.
Her?
Probably. I don't like her.
No, I don't like her either. I don't know anyone who does, honestly.
I know people who do. I know people who voted for her.
Even people I know even some right-leaning people who don't like her because she doesn't do anything. So yeah, don't vote for her, guys.
No, don't.
The election is what? A year away? Yeah.
Is it that close? Okay, thank God.
It's a year away.
Okay, good.
So yeah, don't vote for her again. She does not do anything.
I don't think it matters what we say to the people that are in this county.
No,
because we don't vote for her in this county. I don't think in general. But
I don't think so. But just in case we have any Kim Reynolds holdouts here, don't. Just don't.
We won't like you if you do.
That's so true. We won't like you if you do. Right. So, vaccines.
Oh, so I tried watching Midnight Mass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you did say that to me.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone, even though you probably should have seen it already. But what brought me out, I spoiled it for myself because I had to look up bad old person makeup.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm like, that one dude, I'm like, I think that one dude is Elliot from E.T., the father of the jail guy.
Really? I didn't know
and
that.
I'm looking at him, I'm like, he's my age. Why does he look like he's 70 years old? And then the old woman that is kind of has
the doctor's mother.
Yeah, she's got
mental
whatever deterioration or whatever.
Dementia?
Yeah. I looked at her and I'm like, she looks like she's got really bad old lady makeup.
Yes, she did have really bad old lady makeup, and so that kind of took me out of it too. I'm like, this is probably going to be a plot point.
Yeah. So don't look that up if you don't want to be spoiled.
Don't look up anything if you don't want to be spoiled. Just watch it.
6 or 7 different ways it could go, and I know what the way it was, which is the one I was guessing anyway.
Yeah.
But
yeah, me too.
But now I'm like, okay.
They could have done better. I've seen old age makeup better than
That's what part of me is like, well, with CGI the way it is, why can't they just do that? They probably didn't have the budget, which is fine. But they could have at least hired somebody that wasn't straight out of makeup school and got their, supplies from the local Walmart on clearance after Halloween, because that's what it looks like.
Do you think maybe they did it on purpose? They wanted people to be like, huh, these old people look
No, because it's old. I'm assuming it's a plot point they want to keep hidden.
Okay, but you should get better makeup artists.
That's what I'm saying. They should have done that.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I agree with you. That took me out as well.
And then I'm like, okay, well now I'm just annoyed because, and then you had warned me that if you were triggered by religion or something that it might not be.
Yes.
And it is, I don't know what church that is. They didn't specifically say what religion. I'm assuming it's a Catholic.
Oh, yes.
Because of the whole call and response and the whole...
And he has the collar.
I know, but other ministers have collars.
Really?
Believe it or not, I didn't know that, but yes.
I thought that was just a Catholicism
But he wears the
thing.
robes, which, and again, I've gone to
Catholic.
enough
It's
Christian-type churches to know that a lot of them have collars that aren't Catholic.
Oh, I've never
I
been
thought
to
it was
one
a Catholic thing.
I've only ever been to a Catholic one, and then, like, other denominations that just, the preachers are just wearing, like, normal clothes.
But the one thing that seemed unique, and I could be wrong, because I didn't go to, a million churches, but I went to several, they were Christian, but they weren't Catholic. I don't remember what. One was Methodist, and I've been to Baptist because my mom was from that. But anyway, the one thing that I always found was unique about the Catholic Church is there's a lot more call and response. Like they do the whole prayers where the priest says something and then you repeat with your part.
Yeah.
And it's like 90% of being a Catholic is learning the script of the thing. And although now I'm thinking about it, they didn't kneel and stuff, did they?
I don't remember.
But that was kind of bringing back some trauma. So I'm like, oh.
I told you, I'm like, listen, I'm not religious. My family is not very religious. The only church I was ever exposed to growing up was like when I went to friends' churches, or like for some reason my grandma had us go to vacation Bible school, even though we weren't very religious. I think maybe it was just something to do in the summer.
Yeah.
But
that's how they indoctrinate you.
Exactly. And so, but even the little amount of religion experience I have, this show creeped me out. This show really creeped me out.
Well, I was born and raised a Catholic by a dad who was always Catholic and a mother who was Baptist, but raised us Catholic because she married into the Catholic family. So those Baptists and Catholic together.
Ugh. Yeah, so I told you, and I told the audience, whoever is listening to this, don't watch it unless like you're just not religious at all, and you're not going to have any sort of reaction or connection to any of the manipulation tactics used in this show by the religious leaders.
Right. Because I didn't get far enough in, but it sounded like he was pretty anti-gay.
Oh, you didn't finish it?
No. I'm not finishing it because I can't.
Oh, yeah.
I'm mad now.
It only gets, like, more creepy and more, like, upsetting.
Worse special effects makeup?
No, I'm talking about just plot-wise and, like, I don't know, the entire tone of the show is just very disturbing to me.
The creepy nun was enough for me. I just didn't.
Oh yeah, no, she sucks.
Yeah.
She sucks.
So I tried. I think I got 2 or 3 episodes in, and I'm just like, I did the Google search, and I'm like,
only 3 episodes in? Oh, but so if you only got 3 episodes, then you missed a really nice scene between Riley and the woman who was pregnant. What was her name?
The ex-con and the pregnant lady?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a really, really nice scene between them when they're talking, and they're talking about death. They're talking about, like, what do you think happens after we die?
Okay, so that was my other complaint.
Did you not like that scene?
I don't know if I saw that scene,
okay.
But it was like I saw at least 4 or 5 scenes where it was just these monologues of, like, the priest talking about whatever he was talking about, like this. And I kind of got the sense that whoever wrote this whole series had, like, a notebook from, like, high school on of, like, monologues about religion and death and love and whatever. And it's like, how can I work this into a thing? And then he just threw them all into this, he or she threw them all into the series.
And then, I mean, you might be right. And the scene I'm talking about is a pretty long monologue scene.
I think I got to that scene, and that's when I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like,
really?
I mean,
I loved that scene. I thought it was really nice and kind of touching and a nice break from all the weird religion.
I know, but it was like several of these, like, little speeches of main characters talking about whatever they were talking about deeply, which I'm sure if I wasn't already ticked off about the makeup.
Maybe you'll pick it back up when you're not so mad about it.
And really, had they put more Rahul in there, I would have been fine. But he's not a main character.
Speaking of, I started watching iZombie because you told me he's in it and you told me the premise, and I'm like, I'm sold. So I'm in season 2 now. Season 2 really kind of dragged for me. I really liked season 1. But if he dies, don't spoil it. But if he dies, I'm giving up on the show.
The great thing about binge watching is that you don't really remember what happens. Like, you had texted me and said, hey, yeah, so-and-so dies, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't even remember that. So I actually started rewatching it myself. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. Okay, now I know who she's talking about.
Yeah, and then I messaged Cindy. I was like, because there's another character who...
You can spoil it, because it's been out for like 10 years. Like, it's an old...
Okay, it started in 2015. It's not that old. But anyway, so yeah, there's this other character, Peyton, and she's the main character, the main zombie character's best friend. And so Rahul plays the main zombie girl's boss in the morgue. And so they have this interaction. The two characters that I'm talking about date for a little bit, and then they stop. I forgot why, but and then later he tries to like start things up again, and she's like, oh, I'm not really feeling it. And I'm like, who are you to reject this man?
I know,
when he looks like that.
But like I said, he's like sweet. Nerdy, so like in Hollywood, if you're any sort of a geek, you could be a really hot geek, but if they've already labeled you as a geek,
right,
you're not.
But I'm just like, girly, what?
I mean, I would pick him over the ex-fiancé.
No, me too.
I mean,
100%.
The ex-fiancé is more technically...
He's fine.
10.
He's all right.
He's got a great body, but he's just a little
bland. I mean, he's not ugly. Like,
he's not that smart.
If he walked in the door, I'd be like, oh, that's an attractive man.
But he's more brawn than brains.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not stupid, but he's not Rahul. And Rahul has an accent. I'm sorry, but...
Yeah, he has a British accent. I didn't realize he was British until...
I don't think I made that connect. I mean, I know I've seen him, but I just didn't think about... Because the last couple things I've seen him in, he had an American accent. Yeah.
And so I just assumed he was American, because his American accent is pretty good. And so he has a British accent, his own accent in this one. And I was like, whoa, what? He's really good at the British accent.
He would be like an Iowa 12.
Oh, like a 15.
Yeah.
But I looked it up, and yeah, he's, I think, from London. And I'm like, oh, that's why his British accent is so good. He's British.
And he's got a really, like, kind of dark sense of humor based on his TikTok stuff.
And his Twitter. Yeah, I follow him on TikTok. I also follow him on Twitter now. I appreciate how much he tweets. He tweets like twice a day.
I wish I liked Twitter.
I love Twitter.
I don't understand it. But yeah, I finally saw that. And, and I also finally saw Shang-Chi. Have you seen that yet?
No.
You got to see it.
But I've reiterated this a few times. I'm not a big Marvel
Oh my
person.
God, but okay, so I liked it so much, I committed myself to remembering his name. Simu Liu.
Yes.
Because I think we had the discussion. I have a hard time remembering like Asian sounding names because it doesn't click in my brain. Because
Simu
I'm
Liu.
a white Midwest person.
Yeah,
and he's on TikTok also.
Wait, he is? Oh, I need to go follow him. I need right now. I need to go follow him right now.
Awesome. And just for him alone, that movie is worth it. And Awkwafina's in it too, which
was
I
it
like.
okay? But like plot wise, was it good or was
plot
it
wise? It's a story about. I mean, it's not superhero because he's not like flying around. It's not like he has special powers necessarily. He's just really well trained fighting wise. And I've had the discussion with a couple of different people about the relationship between him and Awkwafina's character is not romantic in any way. They're best friends.
Good.
Like truly best friends. I mean, I was trying to explain to somebody how trained I am to like expect the two leading characters to like at some point
especially
at least
like if you're both like young people of the opposite sex.
And they were like, I kept waiting for it, and I was a little kind of disappointed, but then I'm like, no, actually, I wish it happened more, because then I would be more used to it.
Exactly.
But I was shipping them for a little bit, because they are so adorable together.
Also, like, you're used to it. Like, you get a young man and a young woman together in a movie, you're like, oh,
there has to be sex, which I have complained.
Or a kiss or
like
something.
I complained with, Wonder Woman, the first one. I'm like, there did not need to be a romantic thing in there.
Oh, but
the movie was full enough without it.
I agree with you, but I liked the romantic subplot.
I know. And I if it's not there, sometimes I think part of me is just, I'm so used to it always being there, because Hollywood has determined that it always has to happen.
There's one movie where there didn't need to be it at all, and that was Jurassic World. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard have a kiss at the end, and I'm just like, that not necessary.
I hated that movie for multiple reasons.
You have dinosaurs on the loose. You don't need to be doing this right now. Right. And they do it like while the pterodactyls are like swooping in and like picking up people. And I'm like, there is a time and a place. Everyone, I liked that movie. Why did you not like it?
Well, there's the whole shoe issue.
Oh gosh, that made me so mad. I'm like, take off your shoes, girly.
And also, I just don't generally like. I think I had a feeling about Chris Pratt at that point.
Yeah,
because I really loved him in Parks and Rec. I really loved him when he went to the spaceship one,
Guardians of the
Galaxy. Because he like pumped up. You know, he went from this like chubby little, nebbish kind of guy, and then all of a sudden he's like cut and whoa.
So I liked ripped Chris Pratt, but I also thought he was cute chubby as well.
I agree. I like him better chubby, just because that's my natural choice of men. But it's nice to see him like, whoa, like that's nice for the visual. But then by the time Jurassic Park, I don't know. I just didn't like the movie.
That's valid.
I didn't like her necessarily either. I didn't like the relationship between the two of them. I just felt like it was forced. I don't know. It was just forced. Like, did we need a third one? Probably not.
No, we didn't.
And then he comes out now, and it's like I've canceled him anyway, because he's kind of a twerp.
Yeah. Yeah, if you guys don't know what we're referring to, it was he had this weird Instagram post about his wife that's supposed to be like a fun like back and forth with his wife, like, I love you, honey, you do everything for me, and sometimes I guess I do something for you. I love this woman because her heart is pure and it's mine. And it was just very,
he's also
very
been
odd.
involved with a church that's pretty
homophobic.
Yeah, that was what was it for me. I'm like, that would be a deal breaker for me. I don't know about you, but I won't belong to an organization that is.
Well, I'm not religious anyway. The only way I would ever consider going into a church ever again is if they're like extremely pro everything a church isn't.
And that's when I was doing, like a couple years ago, I kind of went around and visited several churches. And that was the question I asked anybody I knew that was in the organization, in the congregation. I'm like, are you guys pro-gay? Are you pro, LGBT? And I did not go to the church unless, with the exception of the Catholic Church, of course. But I had to go revisit my roots just to see.
Just to confirm.
It wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair if I didn't visit the thing I grew up in, and it was not a good fit.
Did you find anything that was like kind of okay?
The Universal Unitarian Church was nice.
That's what I hear. Like, whenever I tell people, I'm like, the only reason I would step in a church again is if they were like pro LGBT, and not just like in a passive way, but like in an aggressive
No, they're pretty
way.
active. And the only thing I didn't like was it was a pretty crowded. This was long before COVID, but it was, they had just built that new building and it was already overfilling. So to me, it was a little overwhelming because there's just too many people.
But that makes me feel kind of good though, that like everybody wants to be there and the people who are there are like pretty accepting.
And I liked that they had several like outreaches within the community, and I loved the idea of taking different religions and kind of molding them into one. And yet they still had the structure of a mass, which to me was important too.
Right, because you like the structure, and it's, I mean, you did grow up with it, so I'm guessing the structure is kind of comforting, right?
Yeah, the Catholic structure is way too much. Did I ever tell you I went to a cowboy church?
No.
Okay, I call it Cowboy Church.
Was it the one in Newton? The
It
Bar
wasn't-
None Cowboy Church?
No, it wasn't that far. It was like an hour drive from West Branch. I can't remember exactly where it was. I always refer to it as Cowboy Church because my niece went when she was younger with her grandmother, and she always called it Cowboy Church. And I'm like, what the heck? And so I found it because I had another acquaintance that goes to it, and it's pretty. It's a small congregation, which was nice, but the guy that preaches up front just basically goes on as long as he wants. So I was there for 2 hours.
Oh my!
And they hadn't even done communion yet, and I'm like, I gotta go.
Oh,
I gotta go. It was way too conservative for me. If you like that sort of thing, you might.
Oh, who's that?
That's my daughter.
Oh, does she know you're on air?
No, she doesn't. She clearly doesn't listen.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. It was interesting. I would not go back just because of the time constraint alone, but an hour for me a Sunday. Not 2 or 3.
Hour max.
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah. Especially if I have to drive an hour to get to you.
Oh, yeah. No, I would not drive an hour for church, even if I was religious. No, absolutely not.
Okay, I'm going to text her really quick and tell her.
I'm going to say... And I'm going to look at some of our chat room comments because it's actually pretty lit tonight, which is nice, but that's usually not the case. So someone says Chris Pratt is a weird amount of religious, which I agree. It's like... And this never really came out until he married the woman he met in church. And it's not her fault, but it's the fact that like they're both so into the church together.
I just have a hard time. Even if the church does 99%, good and awesome, that one thing would not be good.
And then someone asks what they just said fav movie. Does that mean you're
What?
Does that mean you're asking us what our favorite movies are? I guess I can answer it. I mean, I usually just tell people it's Moulin Rouge just because I haven't thought that hard about what my favorite movie actually is. So I'm just going to say Moulin Rouge. I like the music. I like the story. I like the costumes.
I did not love that movie.
A lot. You know what? A lot of people didn't, and that's fine. That's fine.
I don't remember why I didn't love it, but I just didn't love it. I remember not liking it.
It's a little bit weird at the beginning because it's Baz Luhrmann, and he's a weird dude.
Okay.
But it did give us Lady Marmalade, which is a bop.
Yes.
Which is a banger.
Is that the Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Okay.
Yes. And so it gave us that.
Do you know what that means?
Yes, I do. I do know what that means.
If you don't know, you gotta learn French.
You gotta learn French. Oh, speaking of learning French, I'm actually doing that on Duolingo.
I tried learning Spanish during our downtime when we were home for like 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
It did not work.
No?
I really think my brain is closed off. Like, you're supposed to learn those things when you're young.
When you're like a kid.
When your brain is more elastic.
Because kids' brains exactly are elastic, and they have better learning language acquisition devices.
Right. And if you learn a language early on, you can learn more later.
Exactly.
But I did not do that.
Because your brain is like...
I learned English.
I also learned English. I started learning Spanish when I was 14 in high school. And I really do wish I had the opportunity to learn it earlier. But since I went to public school in the late 90s and into the mid-2000s, that was not an option. I think maybe, I know some places around here, like West Liberty, have bilingual elementary schools because there's a large Spanish-speaking population.
Right.
I don't know what the elementary school thing is here now because it's obviously been 20 plus years since I started elementary school. But I hope they add some, like, Spanish learning.
I mean, other countries learn their language plus English.
They learn English starting really, really early. They start, like, probably the first grade equivalent.
I think that's why Americans are so jerky.
Stupid. Oh, yeah.
Because we know we can go anywhere in the world and somebody will speak English.
Exactly. And it does.
And yet we're the only country in the world that still has metric, foot, whatever. We haven't converted to.
I'm okay not
I mean,
switching.
I'm okay, but we're like one of like 2 countries that don't do the right way. Which I'm thankful, because I remember in high school hearing that we were supposed to switch, and I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm never going to be able to.
You know what? I heard that too in high school. Like, oh, we're going to switch. And I'm like, are we?
Well, I also heard that we're going to get rid of the penny, and that's never happened. Like in grade school.
Okay, but like, that one makes sense, though. Pennies are more expensive to produce than they are worth.
But that's never happened.
I know.
We were also supposed to go paperless.
Oh, I never carry
decades
cash
ago.
anymore. Except today, for some reason, I have cash with me.
I know, but paperless in general, like how many offices did you go to that still have filing cabinets full of crap?
Here.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's, I try to use as little paper as possible here, just because I find it unnecessary.
We're also supposed to have hoverboards, but Back to the Future
flying cars would be cool.
That would be amazing.
I would love to fly, actually. Just have wings. When are we going to evolve to have wings?
Yeah, I know. We haven't really added or subtracted any appendages in the last couple hundred years, have we?
No, I don't think so.
No, maybe growing taller, fatter.
Taller, yes. People are taller now. But I think that's more to do with, like, hormones in our food.
Probably.
Mm-hmm. And yes, fatter, but probably also because of, like,
just
our
in
access
America,
to
probably.
Food. Yeah.
Again, supersize. I don't know that I have a favorite movie at this point. I used to say The Jerk.
Oh, I didn't like that one.
I loved it, but I don't know. Like, I think my tastes have changed so much that I don't know that I could watch it again. And I'm afraid to watch. It's one of those movies I'm afraid to rewatch at this point.
Right.
Because I'm afraid my perception of things have. Yeah.
I watched it in high school, and I did not find it funny. Although I don't really find Steve Martin that funny anyway, though.
I used to find him hilarious, and now lately, like, I tried watching the Hulu show that's the murder in some apartment.
Oh, Murder in Every Room?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't even tried to watch that.
I tried, and I just think Martin Short and Steve Martin together are just, they're too much.
I haven't seen it. I didn't know Martin Short was attached to that.
Yeah, they both are in it. And they went around a couple years ago.
I know
and
Selena Gomez is in it.
Yeah. And that was it's just a weird, I don't know. I didn't care for it.
Mm-hmm. I just want everyone to know that I had to approve a comment in the chat room that apparently the censoring in the YouTube chat room is really sensitive because I had to approve Chris Pratt sucks. I thought it was going to be some awful message.
I think he meant that metaphorically, not.
I mean,
not in any other way.
We don't know.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but that was funny to me that I had to approve that. That's such a tame comment.
YouTube.
I guess it has
PG.
to be okay for kids, I guess.
It's not PG-13.
Apparently not. This show is. But we're on at 7 though, so we're good.
Y'all should be asleep.
Kids are in bed. Or maybe not. I don't know. I don't have kids.
I had kids and I let them stay up until they got tired usually.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've ever told this story, but this was a few years ago. 2019, actually. I went to a 10:30 p.m. showing of the Aladdin remake, and it was like a Thursday night, and so I thought I was going to have the entire theater myself, and I almost did. But at the last minute, this couple came in with a child that was maybe 1-year-old, maybe less, maybe a bit more, I don't know. But it was just yapping the entire time. It was like, mama, blah, 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 blah. And, like, if it was a loud scene, obviously I couldn't hear it because I could hear, like, the thing. But the whole thing isn't loud, like, and so it took me out of it. And I couldn't help thinking, I'm like, why isn't this child in bed? Did you think you were just gonna, like, come to this movie and it would sleep through it?
Right.
That's probably what they thought, but no, this kid was wide awake.
Well, and when it's wide awake, you just leave. Or, because that's the price you pay for being a parent.
Or, I guess since it was just me and them, they thought it was okay since there's only one other person there.
But they had two parents, too. One of them could have stayed home with the kid.
Surely you're both not dying to see the Aladdin remake. Like,
right.
Or, like, I understand if maybe you were going to see it with your child, but this child is 1. It's not going to get anything out of the movie.
Right.
And it's not even, like, I mean, if you show your child who is 1, like, an animated movie, you could see the colors and be entertained. But, like, this one wasn't that colorful. It wasn't a cartoon. It was live action.
Right. When I think I took my oldest to her first movie when she was 2, and that was too young. And it was like a Paddington Bear. You know, it was like totally down. And we ended up leaving halfway through because she just wasn't into it, which is fine.
Well, no, because kids can't hold their attention span for like a 2 hour, or maybe not 2 hours because it was Paddington, but like an hour and a half.
They can
movie.
sit and watch it on a television show because they can play.
Yeah, they can do stuff.
But like at a movie, they're like...
You have to sit down and like actually watch the movie. No, and kids as young as that can't do that.
Right.
I feel like maybe 5 is the time
Probably.
to take them.
Yeah. I mean, depending on the kid, obviously. But
yeah.
With your first kid, you always want to like, oh, I want to go to her first movie and take her picture and save the tag. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think my first movie was A Bug's Life in 1998-ish.
I don't even remember my first movie.
And I was like 5, and my sister was like 3. She was probably too young to go, but
I do remember the old cinema theaters.
Yeah, with only the 2.
Yeah.
Yep, I went on one of the when it was still like a two screen thing.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember that pretty well. Actually, I saw a few movies while it was still like that.
I think I saw Star Wars.
Ooh.
In that theater.
Cool. I think I saw the Dalmatians movie. 101 Dalmatians.
We lived on, I grew up on Hollywood Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, until 6th grade.
Oh, yeah?
Which is like 4 blocks from.
Mm-hmm.
So us and the neighbor kids would always go down and watch movies down there.
Oh, cute.
During the day, yeah.
Yeah, so they changed it to Sycamore 6, I want to say in, 2002-ish?
That whole mall's completely different from what...
Mall. It's... I don't know.
It's still a mall.
Well...
Sort of.
No, because there's
it's
like
a community... No, what do they call it now?
It's a marketplace.
Marketplace.
But, I mean, the store in the middle completely, unless they've changed it since I've been in it, it like completely isolates one side from the other.
Yeah. You have to walk outside to do your mall walk.
Yeah, when Von Mar was in the middle, like at least there was still like there was a hallway.
Right.
You know. That was a cool layout. I miss that layout.
I'm so old. I remember when Sycamore Mall was the only mall we had.
Oh my. I don't either.
And when the downtown mall came in, it was like, oh, have you been downtown yet? Oh, they have a new mall.
Wait, really? Oh, when did the downtown mall happen?
I want to say I was in 5th or 6th grade, probably, because it was old. It was.
So that's
it was at a time
80s?
where I was just sort of starting to take the public bus on my own. So probably 5th or 6th grade, maybe. Which I don't know what year that was.
Early 80s.
Yeah.
Since your graduating class, 89?
I'm not like you and Steve. I can't remember exact dates from.
I'm gonna guess
it was July 17th of 1987.
I'm gonna guess it was 1983.
Probably. I don't know.
Anyway, whatever. I wasn't there. But Yeah, I remember there was a movie theater in the old Capitol Mall, too, and I saw My Big Fat Greek Wedding there. I saw the second and probably first Harry Potter movie there. I saw something else there, too, but I don't remember what it was.
Is there even a movie theater downtown? Oh, the...
Film Scene.
Film Scene is, yeah.
2 locations for Film Scene. I was surprised they didn't shut the downtown one down after they opened the Chauncey one. But
I didn't realize that they were both going on. There's been a couple, like, I really wanted to see the Tammy Faye Baker movie, but I've missed the window of watching that.
I only saw 2 movies in theaters this year. I saw In the Heights at Film Scene and Zola at Film Scene.
I haven't been to a theater movie since before the pandemic. So it's been like 2 years.
Yeah, and the only reason I was comfortable going to the 2 movies I did see was because they were in the summer and it was before like the Delta variant. I mean, maybe not before the Delta variant, but before like we knew about it.
I mean, I would feel comfortable because even before the pandemic, they were asking you to pick your seat. So I always pick a seat towards the front anyway.
Oh, really?
I'm a second or third row person.
Really?
Yes.
I don't like craning my neck. I like the back.
It's not that big of a crane. Plus, I kind of sink into my seat, so it's perfect.
I once saw a movie in West Des Moines and that big mall, the Jordan Creek, and I accidentally got a seat right at the front because I thought it was the back. So they don't clearly tell you where the screen is on those diagrams. And so I had to crane my neck all the way because it was in one of those recliner. It was one of the recliner chairs. So I had to be like, ugh. It was uncomfortable.
Well, I like it because also nobody picks those seats up front. Like, I'm the only one up there.
It was a crowded movie day that day. For some reason, everybody was there. So it was packed. But yeah, I like being in the back.
Well, that's another reason why I like going to movies by myself, because then I can sit wherever I want.
Oh,
the kids like sitting in the back, and I'll sit in the back if everyone else wants to, but when I'm by myself, I sit up at the front so that no one can tell that I'm by myself.
Yeah, honestly, I have no shame going by myself. I love going by myself. It's so relaxing, and I've said this before, but I'm a movie talker, so if I'm with someone, I'll make quips throughout the entire thing. But if it's something I really want to see, I'll go see it by myself, because who am I going to make jokes to? Myself? No.
I am one of my kids, I think, get annoyed. My youngest especially, because I laugh, like guffaw if it's funny, and I will clap when needed.
Ew, no. You're not clapping at the movie.
I am clapping. There are some times where you have to clap because it's pretty amazing.
What? So Tinkerbell can get her wings? Is that?
Well, no, like when they do a fancy trick or something. I mean, I have clapped and I woohoo, and I react because it's a dark theater. No one can see what you're doing. But my kid is like, "Oh, Mom, stop!"
I'm with her. Sometimes if I see a scary movie, there's only been one time where I've audibly screamed. I don't scream in the theater, but there's this one movie we saw, Hereditary, that was so scary. There was this one point where one of the character jumps onto screen, and it made me scream. And so it was so embarrassing. Everyone turned back to look at me. I was the only one who screamed.
You're like, it's a horror movie,
and I'm like, I'm sorry.
Why can't I scream? Should we break?
Yeah, we should. So, continue talking in the chat room amongst yourselves, and maybe
add to the conversation. Ask us questions, make comments. We will.
Yeah, we'll look at it during the break, and maybe I'll comment on it if it's good. Sorry. All right, well, here's some news. You're listening to the mighty 1630 KCJJ.
From the Hertine and Stocker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Hertine and Stocker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
Now, Iowa City's News First.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Dell Small Business.
I'm Peter King in Orlando. The House could vote on the president's Build Back Better Act tonight, but will it pay for itself? Here's correspondent Natalie Brand.
A newly released CBO estimate found the legislation would result in a net increase in the deficit totaling around $367 billion over the next 10 years, not counting any additional revenue that might be generated by additional funding for tax enforcement. Republicans remain staunchly opposed, saying the plan costs too much.
The defense is rested in the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial after more testimony from the one defendant to take the stand. CBS's Omar Villafranca is in Brunswick, Georgia.
Travis McMichael was back on the stand for a second day of cross-examination. Prosecutor Linda Dunikoski focused on how McMichael perceived Arbery as he followed and confronted the 25-year-old multiple times.
He hasn't pulled out a gun.
That's correct.
He hasn't said one word to you.
He has not.
He's not threatened you in any way, verbally or physically.
No, ma'am.
Dunikoski also questioned McMichael's version of the chase through the neighborhood that led to the fatal confrontation, getting McMichael to admit that he could have stopped following Arbery after he ran away from the pickup truck, but did not.
Closing arguments start Monday. It's been 5 years since the last North American summit between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. President Biden hosted his counterparts this afternoon at the White House.
It's about what we can do in partnership and mutual respect to strengthen our region and prove democracies can deliver in the second quarter of the 21st century.
How is debris from an exploded Russian satellite affecting the International Space Station? CBS News space consultant Bill Harwood says NASA's watching.
The astronauts are pressing ahead with all their research, and they're gearing up for a spacewalk November 30th to replace a failed antenna. But that spacewalk depends on continuing assessments of the satellite debris cloud. It's slowly spreading out, but the station won't be completely out of the woods until most of that stuff is burned up in the atmosphere, and that's going to take a while.
Baseball's MVPs include a historic choice. CBS's Steve Futterman.
He was the most talked about player during this year's baseball season.
Shohei Ohtani, what can't he do?
Shohei Ohtani both hit and pitched, unlike anything the sport has seen since the early days of Babe Ruth a century ago. And it was no surprise when the announcement was made on the MLB Network.
The 2021 American League Most Valuable Player is Shohei Ohtani.
It wasn't close. Ohtani got every first-place vote. The Phillies' Bryce Harper won the National League Award.
This is CBS News.
It's Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year with Black Friday deals on Windows 11 PCs. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, then get ready to pay up. The IRS has giant private collection agencies actively tracking down folks who owe the IRS. So if you think dodging them was stressful in the past, it's going to get a whole lot tougher. Optima Tax Relief has this advice. Don't wait. Solve your tax problems now before it's too late. Optima Tax Relief works to stop the demand letters, stop the aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS collectors from targeting you. Ask Optima about the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, and nobody knows this program better than they do. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and they get results, having resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get a fresh start. Call today for your free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I'm Tommy Lang with KCJJ News. The Johnson County Board of Supervisors has approved a $2 million investment of American Rescue Plan money on an excluded workers fund for payments to workers who are ineligible for previous relief programs such as unemployment insurance or stimulus checks. Johnson County staff say they plan to begin distributing the direct aid early next year. On November 16th, the city of Iowa City committed an additional $1 million to $1.5 million to an excluded workers fund if Johnson County spends down its funding. Johnson County also approved an additional $1.8 million on Thursday to expand the county's general assistance program. The county's investment in direct cash payments to households will total $3.8 million. The county also invested millions more in other priorities, such as affordable housing, child care, public transportation, and emerging nonprofits. State data shows hospitalizations, people in intensive care, and deaths from COVID-19 are all up in Iowa. The information released Wednesday by the Iowa Department of Public Health says 544 people are hospitalized with COVID-19, including 123 who are in intensive care. The number of new COVID cases is 9,132. That's the fourth week in a row that there's been an increase. The positivity rate in Johnson County rose to 9.9%. In Lynn County, it's at 11.2%. All 99 counties are in the high community transmission category, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The latest report posted 102 deaths, which the Iowa Department of Public Health says occurred between September 15th and November 11th. The state is now reporting 7,268 deaths. Iowa is 15th in the nation for the death rate in the last week, with 3.1 deaths per 100,000 people. About 9.7% of Iowa children aged 11 to 15 have received a dose of the vaccine. The city of Iowa City has earned a score of 100 on the Human Rights Campaign's 10th Annual Municipal Equality Index, the only nationwide rating system of LGBTQ plus inclusion in municipal law, policy, and services. Iowa City received 12 flex points for additional efforts for a total raw score of 112. This is the 8th consecutive year the city's earned a score of 100 or more. The Human Rights Campaign is the nation's largest LGBTQ civil rights organization. Their MEI examines how inclusive municipal laws, policies, and services are of LGBTQ plus people who live and work there. Iowa City's scorecard can be found at a link under this story at 1630kcjj.com. In sports, the 17th ranked Iowa football team goes for its 9th win Saturday as they host their final home game at Kinnick Stadium this year, taking on the Fighting Illini at 1 o'clock. The question is who will be behind center when the game starts. Earlier this week, Coach Kirk Ferentz said Alex Padilla was working with the first team in practice, but Spencer Petras was also taking a lot of snaps to regain his sharpness. Ferentz was asked about his overall impression of Padilla after looking at game film.
I think he's played with poise for as little as he's played for 2 games now. I think that's been an impression. You know, I was thinking about this a couple days ago. One of the most impressive things, I think, and it's easy, sounds like, you know, kind of routine, but his ability to throw the ball away. There were a couple plays the other day where he threw it away, and you know he was on the scramble or on the move and got outside and just got rid of the ball instead of taking a negative yardage play. And those are little things, but they're really big.
FS1 will broadcast Saturday's contest against Illinois at 1 o'clock. The Hawkeyes wrap up the season at Nebraska on Black Friday. That game will be televised on the Big Ten Network starting at 12:30. With KCJJ News, I'm Tommy Lang.
KCJJ Weather, brought to you by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so beautiful.
With a look at your forecast, I'm meteorologist Ashley O'Connor. Partly cloudy skies tonight, and it will be cold with a low temp dropping to the low 20s. A mix of sun and clouds tomorrow with a light southerly breeze, warmer with a high near 43 degrees. Partly cloudy on Saturday, nice with high temps in the low 50s. Sunshine on Sunday, breezy with a high of 48. Sunny skies continue Monday, but cooler with high temps in the low 30s. That's weather on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently, it's 29.
You're listening to Molly Suter on the mighty 1630 KCJJ.
Yes, you're also listening to Cindy.
Hi.
Did you just go by Cindy Hudson now?
I never really went by Cindy Clark Hudson, but...
Well, I mean, that's just what you always
That's
did,
what I'm
like,
on Facebook, just Cindy Hudson now.
like
I might
on-
go back to Cindy Clark Hudson. I don't know.
Okay, but on the radio, like, people called you, like, CCH and, like, Cindy Clark
Right.
Hudson, and so I was just kind of
Well, at
confused
one
as to
point I
where
was doing
we
that
stood.
ask, that advice thing.
Ask CCH.
Yeah, so it was easier just to write ask CCH than it was to ask Cindy Clark Hudson.
Right.
Because I had to make it real clear to the people on Facebook that I wasn't asking these questions,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because then I would get in trouble.
It's, yeah. It
People
was
would
other
report
people,
me to like the authorities because some of the advice that was
All right,
being
well,
asked. But anyway, yeah.
You are here with Cindy Hudson.
You just call me
Clark
Cindy.
Hudson.
Or the other girl.
Cindy, the other girl, someone else. I don't
That chick. That broad.
The other the broad. Molly Suter and the broad.
That's what my grandpa always used to say, broads.
Yeah, that's a very old way
It's not a
to
good
refer
word.
to a woman. It's not.
Even my mother, who was pretty traditional,
It's not the most
conservative,
complimentary
she
word.
always said, yeah, that's not a good word. You should not use that word.
It's not the most complimentary.
No. But he was old.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have a few topics given to us by the chat room to talk about, one of which is the Hall Mall. Do you know what that is?
Yes, of course I do.
I do not. Care to explain?
So it is a mall that was in, do you know where the pedestrian mall is downtown?
Yes.
It was kind of there somewhere. I could never remember exactly which door to go into. You kind of had to peek around, and then you would go up. It was up above. You know how there was bars and stuff?
Yes.
It was up above.
Okay.
So you'd have to walk up these crickety old stairs, and then there was just basically a hallway that went each direction of various stores. There was a head shop that sold tobacco pipes.
Oh.
And if you can't see me,
Air
I'm
quotes,
air quoting.
Air quotes. All right. I get you.
And then there was just a lot of tie-dye and just alternative stuff. I remember going into one, and it had that, I don't know if you've ever been to Ohm. It had that feel.
No.
But this is before crystals were a big thing.
Right.
So it would be like today's crystal shops.
Okay.
Only weirder. And it did literally smell like pot every time you walked up there.
You mean tobacco?
No, pot.
Oh.
Marijuana, most definitely. Marijuana and incense.
Mm-hmm. I was doing the finger quotes for the tobacco.
But it's not illegal
pipes.
to talk about it on air, is it?
No.
Okay.
But I was simply having fun.
So, and I think it was, I don't know if they, I know at one point they shut it down because there was some code stuff, because it's an old place. But I think at some point it caught on fire. And then that was kind of the end of it.
Oh,
although I
that's
could
sad.
be remembering it wrong. I just cannot for the life of me remember any of the names of the stores.
I mean, was it just a place to buy pot?
No, I don't know. I mean, okay, to be honest.
Is that why it's so iconic?
I don't know if they sold pot up there.
Oh, but just paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia,
Okay,
yes. Cool. And then just other stuff. I just remember like wall hangings and, the kind of stuff that you would buy if you smoked a lot of pot. And maybe I'm not being fair. I was very...
now
I'm
I
very
can see why this
a
chat room
mainstream square kind of person.
Now I'm seeing the kind of people we have in our chat room.
But I went up there a couple times, and I'm not a
pothead. I know
pothead, but
I'm just making fun.
But that's my perception. I have to say, that's my perception as a, pretty straight-laced,
right,
square, kind of mainstream person who kind of dabbles in weirdness every once in a while. Mm-hmm. But it was weird. You walked up there and it was like I felt really out of place every time I went up there. But I liked going there because it was you found some neat things. Mm-hmm. But I please, people, correct me if I'm wrong of my perceptions.
When do you think the fire was? I know you said you don't really remember years, but can you give me a ballpark? Would this have been around when I was around?
See, and I don't know when the Hall Mall...
Maybe the chat room
knows. It was definitely the kind of place you went to when you were in high school and college. Right. And then once I got out of... I don't ever go downtown anymore, so I have no idea. When I go downtown now, I can't figure out where anything is because none of the regular... The field house is gone.
Right.
The other bars that I went to are gone. The only thing that is the same...
Union is gone.
Is the Deadwood.
Yep.
Gabe's.
Yep.
And Joe's.
Love Joe's.
And Joe's is different. It used to be that one little... I was trying to explain this to my daughter.
Oh, yeah, that one little sliver, and now it's
and now it's as big as the sports column, it seems like.
So it has 3 little rooms, and then it has a rooftop bar.
Yeah, and I heard about that, but
it's a nice bar. I went on a date there once.
I liked it better when it was small, but
It's more divey.
Was the sports column still a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm old enough to remember when the sports column was literally that first room.
A column.
It was like the first room, and then there's like a little jag back that was like where there was like 2 or 3 pool tables.
Mhm.
And now it's like this big expansion of everything.
Someone says they were last at the Hall Mall in 2001. So yeah, I was a child.
So that would have been, I mean, I graduated in 89.
20
so that
years
was,
ago.
yeah. And it might have been right after that. That was, I mean, I don't even know if that would be on Hall Mall. I know there was an actual, I don't think it was actually Iowa City Hall Mall. Well, there's an article about it in the Little Village magazine in
That tracks.
August of 2021.
What? So it's still
like just
there?
a few weeks ago.
Is it
No,
still there?
it says the Hall Mall is dead. Long live the Hall Mall.
Oh.
But I don't know if it has an article about like
What it was. Surely they would give context to what it was if they're gonna make a whole article about it.
I mean, it still exists.
What? Hall Mall still
Like
exists?
the space is still there.
Yeah, but is it like a commercial space?
Well, it says it's in the Schneider building, so I don't remember. I just remember it was one of those places that, like, as you're walking down, it was hard to remember which door to go into.
Right.
Like, I can't remember if it was next to the jean shop or it was down a row.
Yeah, nobody's saying if it's still around or not. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, I just haven't been there in a while.
I mean, maybe it's still there.
Is it? Okay. If you're listening and you know anything about what we're talking about, tell us
Call
if it's still open. And B, when was the last time you were there? 3, what they sell there. 319-358-1630. I would like to know about this Hall Mall because I have not heard about it before tonight.
Well, okay, so I'm just skimming and I'm not really getting much out of the article, but there's a picture of the Hall Mall's final tenant in front of his practice space in 2021.
What?
And it kind of looks like it did 20 years ago.
Okay, finally we have a call. Hopefully. Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, you guys are killing me. I love this conversation.
Can you please turn down your radio?
Yeah, I just turned it
Okay,
down.
cool.
Yeah. Hey, so the Hall Mall and Cindy's spot on. It was, you could hardly find the door, and there was but they also had like a record store, and they'd sell posters, you know, Jimi Hendrix posters.
That's
and all
what
this
I remember.
psychedelic
Yeah,
stuff.
I thought there was a
And I
record
think
store.
there was, yeah, and then there was also like Buck's Leathers kind of place up there,
Oh.
and the fire that you're thinking about, I think, was around the corner where Active Endeavors is now. Was a place called Things, and Things.
Oh,
and it burned down, but the Hall Mall place didn't.
Okay.
You know, and that's why the Active Endeavors building is brand new because, well, not brand new. Shoot, it's now 3 years old, but it burned down in the 70s or something like that.
Oh,
I remember
But,
Things and Things. I loved that store. Because
Yeah,
in the
that was
basement
really
they had
cool.
the fortune teller machine.
Were there a lot of things?
Yeah, when you put the court, probably you put like a dime in or something.
Yeah,
and,
all I remember
and
was
then
the fortune teller.
She wasn't a fortune teller. She was a white witch, which is
No.
a good witch.
But it was the same machine in the Tom Hanks where he
Yeah.
went younger. It was
I
the
don't
same.
remember the
It was the
movie. I
same
know-
thing. One of those
Yeah,
machines.
and she kind of move around, her hand would move, and
Yeah.
she'd move cards or something, and her fingers would move, and they were fake. Hey, but one other thing before I get off the phone, with the when the Sycamore Mall kind of went down, and they brought in the old Capitol Mall,
Right.
but before, when they tore down all the buildings that were like in the 2-block area that is today the parking ramp and the old Capitol Mall, they had like this big open lot for like 3 years because they didn't break ground for the mall, and they would bring in a circus. And I was like a little kid, and I would ride my Bicycle Heights over to the circus, and they actually had a bearded lady and then a woman who had like snakes. It was kind of weird. You wouldn't do it today.
Yeah.
But anyway, you guys were talking about that earlier, and I was like, yeah.
That's kind
like
of cool.
Right on where Hills Bank is there, Washington Street. That was a place called Burger Chef.
Ooh, sounds good.
And it was pretty cool. It was, you get 10-cent hamburgers or something like that. I was probably like 8 years old riding my bicycle downtown, and then my parents would say, stay away from the hippies. But then I went up to the Hall Mall, and I saw lots of them.
Yeah. Stay away
Great
from
show,
the
guys.
Oh, my God. All right, well, thank you for calling in. Thank you for answering the question.
And if you're curious, Little Village is online.
Oh, yeah, I'll check it out. Well, I read it every month. Yeah.
Okay, because they have, and I'm
they
scrolling. I'm not really reading, but I'm scrolling through the pictures. I'm like, oh yeah, that I remember that door. I remember that hallway.
Right.
There's a picture of the hallway that looks really familiar.
Right. There used to be a similar kind of hallway office spots, like above. Now it's Jimmy John's downtown. It was like Dombies, and you used to go upstairs, and there was like Chipper the tailor. He was an Irish guy, and there was a bunch of stores up there. So I think the head shop, that was where the in the Hall Mall, I think when they might have closed down, and they didn't sell pot. Believe me, I tried to find stuff there in high school, and they did. They no, we have patchouli oil and pipes and
hemp.
Hemp, lots of hemp, and pictures of pot. I'm like, you have to have pot. I'm like, no. But
they probably knew where to get it, though. Did you ask them where they got theirs from?
I probably should have tried. I didn't even think of that. No.
Didn't even think of it.
Yeah, they moved. You know where, Ray-Gun is now, and there's, a little alleyway between Ray-Gun and whatever that new baby store is?
Yes.
That's where the head shop was back in there. So a head shop back in the day, you kind of always had to try to find them. They were hidden. That's where that one was.
That's a really creepy alley.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to go there by yourself. Always have somebody go in with
absolutely
you.
Absolutely not.
Right.
Even now, in broad daylight, absolutely not.
Well, broad daylight, you couldn't see anything anyway. It's dark.
Right.
It's kind of creepy back in there. Anyway, hey, great show. I love hearing this sort of 70s Iowa City nostalgia. Kind of cool.
70s or 80s, too.
Guys.
All right. Thank you
and
for
80s.
calling.
All right. Hey, you bet. Have a good night.
All right,
yeah,
bye. Yes, 70s nostalgia that I cannot even begin to relate.
You're like, that thing existed?
I
know. I kind of created a picture of it being
I thought
scary, but not. Yeah.
No, I didn't get the vibe that it was scary. I just got the vibe that it was kind of underground, hush hush, you don't talk about it because there's a weed store.
They didn't sell pot. I never asked him for pot.
I don't think that guy asked hard enough.
Well, if he was in high school, he probably did it with the giggle, and they knew better than to. He didn't know the secret word.
Or clearly, if you look like a child, they're not going to give weed to a child. If he was an adult, maybe they'd be like, yeah, man.
Well, I'm looking at the picture. One of the pictures they have is the upstairs, and it's an old school office type hallway.
Right.
It's got the poles in the middle, because nowadays they have construction that doesn't. You don't have to have a pole right in the middle of the thing. It's all wood. All the doors are wood. There's not storefronts. Mm-hmm. It's just you kind of have to peek in to see what you look at, and then if that place looks scary, then you don't go in, or you grab your friend.
So
Let's just say I never went there by myself because it was it was a curiosity.
Yeah.
And in high school especially, you're very curious about it.
Well, sounds like something my friends and I would never have gone to.
I remember what I bought there. Finally, I remember buying a deck of tarot cards. It was the first deck of tarot cards that it's the first of many that I bought and then did nothing with.
You see, I think that's funny that you had to go to the Hall Mall to get that, now, but I was just at TJ Maxx today, and there's an entire shelf just with, different tarot decks.
You couldn't find tarot cards back in the day. They did not have them at Kmart. In the 80s, you had to go to a mall to get stuff, and they didn't have tarot cards. the Hall Mall is where you would go for that kind of eclectic. I don't even think they sold incense at like Kmart.
I don't know. But yeah, I just feel like my high school friends and I were pretty straight-laced, since we probably wouldn't have, even if it did exist in the late 2000s, early 2010s, we wouldn't have gone there. It wasn't the scene. It wasn't our scene.
Well, now it's stuff that it's more mainstream. Because,
yeah.
Weird is in right now, so.
Oh, yeah. And thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder, I think I gave those cards away. I love getting tarot cards thinking that I'm going to learn how to read tarot. And it never happens. Because it's kind of hard and difficult. You have to learn what everything means. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's like learning a foreign language.
I had my cards read.
I've had them read before, but I always buy a set thinking I'm going to learn how to.
Oh, no. I would
read
never.
Them
I'm content with getting mine read, but I don't want to read anymore.
I like having them read, yeah. Even though it's usually off.
It's vague.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's fun. The process is fun.
I like psychics. I like the idea of them.
Me too. And although I do think a lot of them are phony just because they like preying on people for money, it is an actual gift people can possess.
Well, obviously Bonnie is associated with.
Oh, yeah.
So she's the only
Bonnie's
actual
real
psychic
deal.
I've ever been to. But I don't know if she's a psychic or she's just really super intuitive. And I think she's intuitive.
She can be both.
Right. And I think that's basically what a good psychic is. They're just super intuitive. They can kind of pick up on a person's energy and what they're telling you. I don't know if she's been right, but I also don't remember everything that they say.
Yeah, she predicted my dad's first and only car accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like 20 years ago, she was like, "You're gonna get in a car accident today," or it's Southern accent. I can't do a Southern accent, but he was like, "Okay, Bonnie," and so then he was out driving not the next day, but later that same day, and he got into a fender bender. Somebody like rear-ended him, and he's like, "It's never happened before since."
And he's like, "I'm not talking to her ever again." I just have the problem when I go to do something like that, I always forget what they tell me.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I'm like, okay, I'm going to remember everything that they say. And then at the end of the hour, I'm like, okay, I don't remember.
Well, that's just a waste of money.
I know. And the last time I went to her, I think I was having some issues with the guy I was dating. And she picked up on that. And so it was basically a reading about him, and he wasn't even there.
I would have been like...
Which should have told me that I was wasting my time and money on him.
If you go to a psychic and ask if your man is going to last, it's probably not.
Well, and I didn't even ask that. But I think she picked up on issues. So...
Psychic should have dumped his ass.
And I should have that whole event should have told me, hey, I am wasting money. This, he is diverting my energies in ways that it shouldn't have been diverted.
Yes. Yes.
Hindsight.
It's 2020.
It's better than 2020.
It's 2021.
2010, that would be better.
What?
Right?
I don't know.
We're talking about eyesight.
I don't know how eyesight works.
2020 is perfect, but if you go higher in number, it's less perfect. I think.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
I don't know. That might have been something that somebody told me, and I never really looked up to check.
My eyesight is 1. I'm just kidding. I don't have good eyesight. Because I'm wearing glasses.
Yeah, me too.
I was telling my friend about this, actually, on Monday nights when we have movie night. We were talking about, glasses prescriptions, and I was like, 1 is actually okay. It's just a little bit, nearsighted, but the other one has astigmatism, a lazy eye, and then is nearsighted. And so it's all messed up. Only one of them is.
So they haven't made you wear a patch on the good eye so the bad eye gets better?
No, because the other eye is it needs correction as well, just not as much.
I mean, I have one eye that's worse than the other.
Yeah,
but
I think it's funny that the astigmatism and the lazy eye are the same eye.
just rip it out. You don't need that eye.
Just gouge out my eye.
Break up with that eye. It's just causing nothing but trouble.
So true. It's so toxic, Cindy. It's been so toxic for like
Hear
20
me
years
telling
now.
my advice on everything. Just get rid of it.
Just get rid of it.
Simplify your life.
Have you run across that guy on TikTok who he's like, you should dump his ass, bestie.
Well, there's one guy that will pop up and say, like, advice. And will say stuff like that every once in a while. Like, this is your sign that you should break up with him. You know,
Yes.
or this is your sign that you should,
No,
you know.
he always says dump his ass. But he also says, like, bestie, this is your sign to dump his ass.
I don't know if I've come across him specifically, but
next time he comes across my For You page, I will send it to you.
I was just, so one of my coworkers, who basically was like the millionth person to tell me to get on TikTok, and I finally did.
Right.
We were talking today about because we both have kind of weird FYP pages, or For You page. I just said For You page.
Yes, you did.
Sorry. And I was telling him that I keep coming across live feeds of the ASMR stuff, which is just basically, I don't know what ASMR stands for, but it's the thing where you make noises.
It's ASMR. It refers to like the thing in your brain that goes
I know, but
off.
what does ASMR stand for?
I don't remember, but it has to do with like the sensation you get in your head
when you have
when
sounds.
When you have like auditory triggers to trigger the S.
So these people will be like talking very softly, and they'll
like,
do the clicking of their fingernails, and they'll click on the thing, and then they'll do this like that, like that kind of stuff.
Like that.
And I'm like, which I get people like, I don't care. I mean, I don't
it doesn't
dislike it.
I
just don't.
It doesn't
but it keeps popping up. And then the weirdest one is, I think it's ASMR, but it's a guy who is from a different country, because I'm guessing because most of the comments and most of the interactions are a different language. But he is, usually he's at this little kind of creek. It's almost like an alleyway with like a river running through it. And there's like bags of garbage behind him. And he's sitting kind of on this like log or something. And he's got literally like this sock thing that looks kind of like a mermaid outfit. And it's got little fins on the bottom that's kind of like, looks like it's a jersey material of some sort. And he's like flipping it in the water and making the noise. And then he's just like, you know, jabbering on in whatever language he's speaking. And I'm like, it's shown up on my FYP like pretty regularly, even before I went to his page to see what exactly the story is. And it's just basically him in different colored, he's got, I don't know how many of these mermaid things. And I just can't figure out what made that pop up on my, I mean, that's the weirdest thing I've seen besides the people with like the worms in their bowls.
You know, I just scroll past all the lives that come up on my.
I usually do, but sometimes I'll look for a second because I don't realize what it is. And this guy just sort of went, what is going on? And then I try to explain it to people, hoping that they're weird enough where it popped up on their page and like, oh yeah, I know that. No one else has seen it but me.
Yeah, can you send lives to people? Like when the next time that happens, like send it to me.
I mean, I can go to his page and send you one of the things, which is basically him, like the same thing. Only
send it to me.
It's just so weird.
And the second you send it to me and I watch it, it will pop up on.
I know, but I don't know what I clicked on to. I don't know what's happening, but I'm clearly weirder than I think I am. Because TikTok said so.
The TikTok algorithm knows you better than you
know
yourself.
It's gotten me down to a T.
Yep. My TikTok, my For You page is all Taylor Swift right now. It's all Taylor Swift. I whenever there's too much Taylor Swift, I go to my following tab and I usually don't. I usually just do the For You page, but
I'm the same way, yeah.
But yeah, I have to take a break from all the Swiftie content. by going to my followers.
Well, and you're a Swift fan, so I'm like, I'll see some. Occasionally, it pops up on mine, and I'm like, oh, I should send this. No, she's already seen it. I'm sure.
Seen it.
I did see one. It was so cute. It was a picture of this really gorgeous wedding scene, and the couple, the bride and groom kissing, and then the thing is, like, when you think that the chances are low of your ex coming to ruin your wedding, and then it scrolls over to, I'm assuming Taylor Swift, the real thing, all in red, kind of behind, like kind of looking evil, like she's going to ruin the wedding.
But never zero. Yeah, it's like the chances of a psychotic ex ruining your wedding is low, but never zero.
Yeah. I thought that was cute that she would do that kind of.
That's actually from like her account. That's from the Taylor Swift account. Yeah.
I mean, I'm following her, I think, but I don't follow all of the other stuff.
Yeah, that was funny. No, that entire because that's for a video for one of her songs from the vault called I Bet You Think About Me, and the music video for that was directed by Blake Lively. It's her directorial debut, and it's actually a pretty good video, so you should go watch it.
Who is Ryan Reynolds' wife?
Yep. Yes, and Taylor Swift's bestie.
They've
cute. Been friends for like a decade, I think.
That's cute.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked that video too. But yeah, my For You page is just full of people being like, "What album is next? What is she releasing next?"
I don't have any of that, but I have
too much.
I have I had that pop up, and then I had another one that it must have been on FYP, but it was a guy who was like explaining. He had a video of himself singing to one of the Taylor songs, like Upset or whatever, like he's breaking up or whatever. And it was like from his drafts or whatever, but he posted it because he's like, yeah, my boyfriend walked in on me during this. And you hear the boyfriend say, "Are you pretending that we broke up again?"
Wait, it was the Enchanted one. It was the Please Don't.
I don't even know what song it was, but possibly. But he was in the shower, like pretending that he broke up. And
it's Enchanted. That's the trend people are doing.
And he's like, "Are you pretending that we broke up again?"
I know. I see all these people are like, "Oh my God, I'm in such a stable, healthy relationship, but now I can't relate to the Taylor song." And I'm like, "Oh my God, shut up! Let us have this one." Y'all got Lover.
Yeah.
Red is for the singles.
Maybe I should listen to it then.
Oh yes, I think
I'm too old of it.
Liking it.
I know, but I think I'm a little too old to really super relate to it. But
I mean, you could look back on your past relationships and think
that's
about
what I worked through that with Alanis Morissette. I don't need to.
Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need to relive it.
That was my Taylor Swift.
And she's incredible.
Yeah. A little more angry, but.
Yes, but
those were the 80s, really 80s and 90s.
Jagged Little Pill was 95. And that's what I really know her for.
Yeah, I got through a lot of breakups.
It's a good album.
Yep.
I don't know any of the other albums, just that one, but it's a good album.
I don't know that I ever listened to anything after or before that, so.
Right. Well, that's definitely
her
most famous work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. What are the... Taylor is asking for a new scarf for Christmas. Yes. Although, for those of you in the know, the subject of All Too Well is Taylor asking for a scarf back from her ex who took it, and it is a Gucci scarf, so I can imagine that is something she wants back because it's a Gucci, and I'm guessing it was expensive.
But also, it's like the whole principle.
Oh yeah, the whole principle.
I've had,
sure.
a time or two where I loaned something to an ex, and then when we broke up, it's like, I loaned you that. I need it back.
I want it back.
Please. I asked you back for it several times when we were together. I need it back today.
Yes.
Now that we're not together.
I've never had an experience with that. But
I had one with the last one. It was just like, just drop it off at my house. I'm not even going to be there. Or set it outside and I'll come grab it. Like, I need it back.
Did you get it back?
Yeah. But I think I lost it after. Because when I was moving, I'm like, well, where did those chairs go? Like, I can't find them.
All of that trouble, just being like, give me back my stuff.
So maybe it was just the principle of it.
It was the principle of it. It's like, do not keep what is not yours.
Yeah. I kept enough stuff.
It is simple. Another comment I had to uncensor. The same person said Jake Gyllenhaal sucks. I had to show that. I had to approve that comment, and it didn't even say sucks. Like, it said S-U-X.
It knows that trick.
I guess it does.
Or I think he was also referring to Ouija boards. I don't think Ouija boards work.
I've heard. I don't play with them just because I know some psychics and otherwise spiritual people say that it invites negative energies into your home.
Tried them before and they never worked. Somebody was always
moving it.
Yes.
Moving the planchette.
Yes.
That could be.
My kids saw a movie about it, and of course I think there was something about how you cannot separate the planchette from the board. Ooh. Or it's bad luck or something. I'm like, I'm throwing it all away. I don't give a crap. It doesn't work. There's always somebody trying to.
Do you think your West Branch house is cursed now?
It probably was to begin with. I don't care. I'm gone.
You just
and you can't haunt a mobile home, I'm pretty sure.
You can haunt anything you want, Cindy. You can haunt anything.
Well, it was built in 2003 or something,
yeah,
so I don't think...
Lots of people have died since 2003, Cindy.
I don't think so.
Not in it? You don't think anyone has died in the past 18 years?
In the mobile home?
Oh.
No. Don't you have to die in the place?
Not necessarily. It just has to be a place you've spent a lot of time.
Yeah, I don't think they're coming to Lake Ridge.
Probably
mobile
not.
home park.
Probably
to haunt.
Not. But I think someone died in my house. I think that's like, I mean, not like traumatically or anything. Like they were just old, but they died.
I mean, I believe in ghosts, but I would love to have proof. I've never seen proof.
I've never seen anything explicitly outright, but yeah, I believe in ghosts for sure. I feel like it would be stupid to assume that I know everything there is to know about existence. Mm-hmm. You know, I believe in them.
I want to believe. That's where I stand. I'm going to steal the whatever that show was called. Not the Twilight Zone. What was the show?
I don't know.
With the FBI couple that
I don't know what you're talking about.
The X-Files.
Oh, the X-Files. Yeah. I've never seen that.
I've watched I think most of the seasons, but it's been a long time. It's been a really long time.
Mhm. Well, the original started in like the 90s, right?
Yeah.
And then there was a reboot a few years ago. And I think that was my opportunity to see it, to get on the X-Files bandwagon, but I did not take it.
I think that's what made me watch. Well, no, I think I saw it when it was first out, sort of, like kind of half-heartedly, and then I must have binge-watched it decades ago at some point. But because I remember several episodes were kind of creepy. But I think it was the guy that was like, I want to believe, but
yeah, or
I want to have proof.
Like although I'm not sure because I haven't seen the show. Is it on Netflix or Hulu or something?
I don't know where it's at right now.
Because like I would want to watch it, but again, I've said this before.
The female actress is legit English.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
What's her name? Gillian Anderson?
Yes.
She's in Sex Education, which is a Netflix show that I really like.
I haven't been able to get into that either.
That's okay. That's valid. I feel like you either really like it or you don't get into it.
Okay, watch now on Hulu.
Oh, it's on Hulu. Okay.
Hulu, YouTube.
It's on YouTube?
Well, you got to buy it.
Oh, right.
Amazon Prime, you got to buy it.
Right.
But you can watch it for free.
So is it Hulu or is it like Hulu with Showtime or with whatever Stars or?
It just says Hulu.
Because if it's just Hulu, like I'm good. I'm set.
And it says I'm subscribed, so I can check.
All right.
Yep. Start watching.
All right. Let's start watching right now. Everyone listening will have like a really faint audio.
Although that's another, like, it was in what, the 90s or something?
90s, yep.
So it might be something that's a little dated that would be kind of hard to watch.
Yeah, like, I think maybe I mentioned a few months ago, I tried to watch Sex in the City. And it was just it was dated, not like obviously not the language used because it was like 2000, but just like the way in which they spoke about things. It was, I don't know, it was too, I couldn't relate to it.
I think I can see that. I was late to that because I didn't have whatever channel it was when it was new. Wasn't it HBO or something?
And yeah.
So then it was released on... Oh, TBS used to have it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was highly edited, obviously, because it was TBS.
Had to be, yeah.
And then a friend of mine's like, you have to watch it original because you're missing a lot of scenes. And I'm like, oh. And I ended up binge watching the whole thing, but I don't know. It was cute.
I think I watched 2 episodes because I that's what I do with shows. I'll give it 2 episodes, and if it doesn't work for me, it's gone.
I will say the first couple episodes, I remember it being awkward because she kept talking to the camera, and it wasn't very organic, if that makes sense.
Right.
And then they kind of switched that sort of tone to more of a voiceover type thing, but which I liked better. But I don't know if I'd rewatch it. I don't know that I'm going to watch. I mean, I don't know why they're making another movie.
Are they making another movie?
And Kim Cattrall is not even going to be in it. So
who is she? Samantha?
Yes. She was probably my favorite character.
I didn't have enough time with it to really determine whether I was a Carrie, Samantha, whatever.
I'm not any of them.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Girls?
I love Girls.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, so I watched, like, I think maybe the first season of that.
Yeah.
Or, like, maybe the most of the first season of that. And so I remember some people who watched the show would kind of adopt, like, the thing from Sex and the City. Like, oh, are you a Lena? Are you a Marnie? Are you a Shoshana? Or whoever the other one was. I don't remember. The weird girl.
I don't remember any of their names, but yes, I know.
Anyway, but I was none of them.
I'm not any of the characters ever. There are characters I want to be. Like, I would want to be the Samantha because I liked how she was so open and she's like, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do. I liked that. I was never that way. I'm still not that way.
Yeah, so there's characters you would want to be, but maybe none that really fit.
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, I wouldn't want to be friends with any of them either, quite frankly.
No. I mean,
could do that. Well, you don't watch Seinfeld. Never mind.
No,
you can do that with Seinfeld. Are you a George? Are you an Elaine?
People do that with friends. Like, are you a Monica? Are you a Rachel?
They do that with every show, really. Yeah. I mean, you can take tests now, like on Facebook, to determine which one you are.
And I'm definitely a Phoebe out of all of those. I feel like
I don't know who I am off of. Probably the Chandler. Always making a joke. I'm always making a joke.
Actually, you are very similar to Chandler, I feel like.
Yeah.
I'm like a cross between Phoebe and Joey. I feel like the dopiest characters.
How you doing?
No, more like his obsession with food.
I'm the Joey there too, yes. Definitely.
And then Phoebe was just kind of eccentric.
I liked her. I liked her the best, I think.
Yeah.
But that's another show I can't really.
You know what? I binged it when it first got added to Netflix because I remember when it was airing. Excuse me, when I was a kid.
Well, you're like 7, right?
Yeah. It's actually the show started when I was like 1. Obviously, I didn't watch it then. I watched, like, the later seasons. Like, I would catch an episode or 2 if my mom had it on. But, I was like, oh, I should watch this. Because I kind of remember watching a little bit of it when I was a kid. And so I binged it. And it was good, but it's not something I would ever binge again.
So, Back in the old days.
Back in the day.
They used to have network television.
Wow.
And they'd have
Sounds
certain
scary.
days where they'd put all the popular shows, like Thursday night was must-see TV. And Friends was the spearheaded of that. So you would sit and you'd watch Friends, and then they'd put some show they're trying to get popular in the middle.
Right.
And then at 8 o'clock, I think it was Seinfeld. And then another show they were trying to make happen. And then it was ER. So Friday, we would go to work. I worked at the bank at the time, and we would talk about Dr. Doug Ross and what happened on Friends. And it was like this whole, like, people knew.
That's cute.
Thursday night, you could not call me, come over, unless you were going to sit and watch TV with me. I would order a pizza, Chinese food, whatever, and I'd be ready to go in front of my TV at 7 o'clock, and I would sit there until 10 o'clock.
I love that. Tommy told me that before everyone in town got South Park on like some kind of channel that not everyone had.
Right. WB probably, the
yeah.
Warner Brothers or whatever it was.
And so people would go to like One-Eyed Jake's and watch it together. And I'm like, that's so cute.
90210 was the same way. Like, you couldn't get, not all of us had that channel.
Yeah, that's, and so like you would go to a bar on like Thursday night or whatever it was on, and then like they would put like the audio on at the bar, and like people would watch it.
And you couldn't, I mean, we had VCRs at the time, but you couldn't really tape it because you wanted to be able to you really seriously wanted to talk about it at work the next day.
Right. But also like, if you didn't have the channel, you couldn't record it.
I know, but like with the ER and the Friends and stuff, like I had a group of people at work that we would, like, seriously for 30 minutes at the beginning of every day, every Friday, we would chit chat. And then when it wasn't happening, because, you know, back in the day, they didn't release all season in one day.
I'm glad they do, though, because I really like the binge setting my own schedule, and I don't have to wait every week.
Right. And so they would have every week they would have it, and then they'd have these hiatuses during like things, you know, like during the there would be sometimes there would be 3 weeks there wasn't a new episode.
Yeah.
So that was like torture because you never knew exactly when it was coming back, and like you'd complain like, what do they need a vacation for? You know, like it was a lot of drama back in the day. Now we can just watch, but now we have seasons that are 10 episodes long instead of 300 like they used to
23
be.
or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, but usually there's like a lot packed into the 10 episodes,
right?
And so it doesn't feel like you're being
and if it's like
cheated.
a Netflix or a HBO, it's like a good hour,
really good.
and there's no commercials.
Yes,
but like, yeah. So that was the old days, and I never want to go back. It was the worst. It was the worst time ever. I don't know how I survived.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not that young. Like, I do remember shows being like that and being released on a weekly schedule, and it was torture just waiting a week to find out what happened.
I like having a couple shows. Like, there's a couple shows now that I watch weekly. So Succession, HBO does that, where they have like Game of Thrones was that way. You'd just be ready to watch it Sunday night, and that was it. Succession's another one I'm watching weekly.
I think
found it.
Sorry.
Oh, Discovery, which is on Paramount streaming, is back. The new season. If you watched it before, I highly recommend it. It's a Star Trek thing, so I don't know that you would.
No.
Yeah. If you like Star Trek, this is the best Star Trek series.
Oh, well,
ever.
You heard it here first, folks.
But the new season.
I will not be partaking, but
the new season is out. Which it looks like it's coming weekly, I'm guessing.
And
because
you said
only
HBO Max?
Yeah, that one's on Paramount Plus.
Oh, Paramount, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm stretching.
It's almost bedtime.
It is. I said in the chat rooms, somebody was like, "Oh, you should go check out where Hallmall was after the show," and I'm like, "Are you kidding? I'm going home and passing out. I'm going to bed."
You're just gonna go through every little doorway and see downtown
by myself? Yeah. Absolutely not.
I wouldn't even do it during daylight.
We should go together. Show
I don't
me
even
over.
remember, like...
Was it like where film scene is now?
No, I think it was on the strip, like what I call the main strip, which I don't know if everyone... But like, where... Do you remember where Soap Opera was?
No.
It's on the other side of that. It's where Hardee's used to be. That side. That little section. Where Burger Hall.
Oh,
that
yes.
little section of stores.
Okay.
I think it's in one of those aisles.
Okay. I'm with you. Oh, Burger Hall is so good, by the way. I'm so glad.
I know. I need to go back there again.
Sponsors, so I can just talk about how good it is. I haven't had it in a while either. I've never actually. I haven't been to the actual like brick and mortar store yet.
I have. It's really cute.
I
went during. It was right at the beginning of the pandemic. Oh, it was right before the pandemic hit when everything shut down.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was after.
No, I didn't know they were there before the pandemic. I didn't notice.
Oh
them
no,
on
it was
Shop
during the
till
last.
a year ago.
Okay, so it was during the last restaurant week where a lot of it was just pickup anyway. Still,
Right.
But I went there to pick up the food, and I had to wait in there for a few minutes. But it was during the last. It was February. I just remember it was freezing cold that day. It was like the coldest day of the year. And it's like a little bar, kind of. It's really cute. It's a nice, cozy atmosphere.
Yeah,
but it's good food.
I think maybe once the students go home for winter break, holiday break, I might venture downtown because I am freshly boosted, and I might go to actual.
I'll go down with you
brick-and-mortar.
if you want to partner.
Ooh, yes, Burger Hall, and then we should go to the new Dry Bar.
Is it open then? Impaired?
Yeah,
unimpaired.
It's
unimpaired.
Yeah, it's not
Yes.
impaired.
Not
Just a regular
impaired.
bar. Unimpaired.
Yes. Are they sponsors? They should be.
No, so maybe let's go to the unnamed Dry Bar somewhere.
Who should call the advertising office and get an ad?
I'm
going.
not a salesperson.
I'm just saying.
I'm not.
So
a
then we can talk about them
salesperson.
freely.
Yeah. So I do want to go to some of the bars downtown that I haven't been to since the summer before, like, the Delta variant happened. Yeah, because I do miss it. I do miss going out. But that was something that I had to go on hiatus about again.
Me too.
Yeah, sure, Cindy. I know you miss going out.
I'm going to pretend. I'm going to rewrite history. I was such a social butterfly before.
Oh, of course.
The pandemic. I mean,
Yes.
the pandemic just changed everything for me. I just never want to go out again.
You and I went out every weekend. I remember.
We went to the what's open again? Not the Field House. That's the last time I went to a bar.
we went to Bo James.
Bo James is still a thing? Okay.
Yes, they're an advertiser.
Oh, Bo James?
Yes.
I know them just for their burger baskets. I don't know them as a bar.
They are.
I don't think I've ever drank there.
They are a bar.
And
It
they were
is a
around
bar.
back in the good old days. They've been around for a million years,
for a
haven't
while,
they?
yeah.
I only know them for burger baskets. I didn't even know they sold beer. But they do.
They actually have really good chicken tender baskets. Just saying.
Yum.
I mean, the burgers are good too. Don't get me wrong, but like some nice chicken fingers, you can't beat it.
Yeah, I used to go to Gabe's every night. That's the bar that my daughter goes to. That's her hangout, which is so different from when I was her age.
Really? Because the last time I went into Gabe's, it was kind of like dirty and run down.
It still is.
Yeah.
It was dirty and run down 20 years ago when I used to go there.
Yeah, my mom used to go there too.
So I never really went to the bar area. Anytime I went to Gabe's back in the
You went
day,
upstairs.
it was upstairs
Yeah.
to whatever band was playing.
I think she did that mostly as well. But
Well, and my daughter goes to the downstairs area, which it's a certain vibe.
I'm guessing you mean Allie and not Katie, since
Yes.
Katie is like, what, 18?
Yes. I hope Katie doesn't go to too many of the bars downtown. I don't know. She did go to, she tried to go to a drag show, but they got in.
It's 19 plus there.
Well, they got in. But I think it was delayed or something, and they didn't want to stick around and wait.
You know, the drag show, I've been to a few of the drag shows at Studio 13, and they are very much delayed most of the time.
Yeah.
And, like, I understand why. It takes, like, a while to get into all of the makeup and the wig and the outfit, so I understand the delay.
I know, but they know what time it starts. And they know how long it takes.
You know,
I always hate it when performers are late. It just annoys me. I just remember waiting for the Violent Femmes when I was younger for like 2 hours. And I was in high school at the time, so I had a curfew.
Did the Violent Femmes come here?
Yeah, it was. I think we talked about this a long time ago. It was at the bar that I can't remember the name of. Is the name of like an airplane or something?
Airliner?
Not airliner.
No, airliner.
Somebody called in and told me what it was, and now I can't remember what it was. But it was like on the corner across from the old Capitol Mall, sort of down the ways from that. It's a very old bar. I'm sure somebody will call in next week and tell us what it is. I forget the name of it.
We have to go now.
Yes.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I am tired.
You're tired of talking about old people bars that no longer exist?
I'm more like I'm sleepy, but I mean, I have nothing to contribute to the conversation when we talk about bars in the 70s.
It wasn't the 70s. It was the mid to late 80s.
90s. Or the 90s.
The 70s.
Well, I'm sure it was around in the 70s.
Yeah, some of these are, yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much for listening to us today. I don't know. Next week? No, next week. Next week
Thanksgiving.
Is Thanksgiving. So no.
You're off the whole day on Thanksgiving?
No, I am working 10 to 2. So I guess if you wanna come by like during the day,
we'll have to see because I'm doing my Thanksgiving at my house at 4. So,
I mean, I'm on from 10 to 2:30, I think.
Maybe I'll bring the dog by so you can meet it.
Yeah, do that. Okay, so next week we may have Cindy, we may not for a little bit. I don't know. But I guess she'll be here when she's here. So, thanks very much for listening, and have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
From the Hertine and Stocker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Hertine and Stocker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
Now, Iowa City's news first.